Hey Facebook, you are here with me in my kitchen, so welcome to my home. And we're gonna make some carrot pistachio slaw today. It's something new we're trying, doing some cooking demos, and so if you like this video, make sure you comment on our video and let us know so that we can, what you want to see so that we can make more of them. One thing that everybody always asks for is the recipe. So I have the recipe card here, and I took a picture of it earlier, and I am going to post a comment right there. Oh, that's my voice. Here we go. All right. So that should post for you guys in just a few minutes. Put that phone away. Okay. So carrots. They're pretty innocuous. Most people feel pretty comfortable with carrots, but you get bored with carrots. So hopefully today we have a new twist on an old favorite vegetable for you to try in your families at home. I got some carrots here. I just gave them a quick scrub in my sink right here. Vegetable scrub brush. I am not going to peel these carrots today because honestly, carrots don't need to be peeled. A lot of the nutrition is in the skin, the vitamins and minerals. This carrot is kind of ugly. Sorry, carrot. So I am going to just peel off the more brown spots. That brown though, it's not dirt. It's just part of the carrot. And most carrots' skins are pretty thin, and so you can get by without having to peel the whole thing. And that way you don't sacrifice nutrition, save a little bit of fiber, and save yourself a little bit of time. Because something I know, being a home cook myself, is that time is always so very important. We're just going to take the ends off of our carrots here. You could eat all the way up to the root bulb on that carrot, but it's kind of fibrous and most people don't like the texture. All right? So first step, we are going to shred ourselves up some carrots. You can do this with a grater. This might be a nice way for kids to help out. I just have my regular box grater here. It's going pretty fast. Okay, and what you see is that you get these nice shreds of carrot, okay? And it goes really fast, like I said, so we're going to do up the rest of this carrot here. There we go. My box grater has a nice little receptacle to catch my carrots there, but you could just shred it straight into the bowl if you wanted to. Another tool you could use to shred up a carrot is what's called a mandolin, okay? The mandolin is one of my favorite kitchen utensils because it makes slicing things to a uniform thickness very easy. It has a cutting blade right across here, and so without these little sticky up guys, you could just make nice carrot slices. But since I want shreds, I put the shredder blade in it today, and I'm gonna show you here. With this, you get carrot shreds that are a little more square, so like a little bit like that, and it also goes pretty fast. For this recipe, either one would be fine, but that's another tool you can use. I'd feel really comfortable having, you know, a little niece or nephew or kid help out with the grater. I would think that a mandolin would be a mom or dad job though. The other thing you can do is just cut it with a knife. You don't need fancy kitchen equipment to make this recipe. As whenever you are cooking anything that is round or cutting anything that's round, you want to give yourself a flat space by just cutting off one side so that then your carrot doesn't wiggle. It's much safer that way. Okay, and we're just gonna cut this guy into thin slices there. Okay, again, flat side down. There you go. And so again, we have these nice little shreds here. That way it takes a bit longer. There's no wrong way to do this. Then when you're done, you just kind of clean up your other sides, make your little matchstick carrots. I think I'm going to use my box grater because I like the texture of that the best. It almost is like confetti. It's really nice and light and changes the texture from something that you'd expect from a carrot. A lot of times people will come into my office and they'll be like, I know what you're gonna tell me. You're gonna tell me I have to eat carrot sticks. And I don't want carrot sticks. I don't like carrot sticks. They're too hard to chew, they make a bunch of noise, and they're boring. Well, oftentimes when people tell me that they don't like vegetables, they're really not liking the texture. I don't know if you've read any of the cookbooks about hiding vegetables in foods, but one of the things that all of those recipes tend to say is cut them small. You know, chop up cauliflower and put it in a tomato sauce, or shred up some zucchini and put it in a meatloaf. Like, that's all well and good, but what's really going on there is you change the texture and you change the palatability of these different foods. So shredding carrots is a great way to get a hard vegetable that's kind of hard to chew for some people and turn it into something that is a little bit easier. Okay, I've shredded through about 2.5 carrots. There we go. And that is gonna be about my 4 cups that the recipe calls for, okay? So next up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chop up some cilantro. Before I do that, I'm gonna turn my burner on back here. Turn it down to about medium. Get my pan nice and hot because I wanna toast my pistachios in a minute, but we're gonna let that pan heat up for a bit while I do that. Okay, so cilantro. Would you be surprised to know that cilantro and carrots are in the same botanical family? They're in the same family of plants, and so their flavors really complement each other very, very well. Other things in this same family are things like celery, fennel, what else? A lot of different herbs like chervil and lovage and all those things. Basically anything that's got a leaf that is kind of this shape here. All of those kinds of plants go really well together. I love cilantro. We keep a bunch of cilantro on hand in my house all the time, but I don't always use a full bunch, and nothing makes me more irritated than when I go to the store and I buy a bunch of herbs and then something happens and I don't end up using it that day, and so the very next day I go into my refrigerator, I open the door, and my herbs are just sitting there limp and lifeless and really unappetizing. And so I have learned how to keep herbs fresh for longer. You'll see I have a mason jar here. I like using a mason jar because the mouth of the jar is wide and the jar is really stable so it doesn't get knocked over in my fridge. Put just a little bit of water in there, about 1 inch or so, and then you put the cut ends of your herbs, whether it be cilantro or parsley or dill or whatever, in there. And then you take a little sandwich baggie and pop it over the top, okay? You can see it's kind of foggy up here. It makes a little greenhouse to keep it good. Now, just for you, Facebook, I saved my week-old cilantro that I bought last week, just so I could show you the comparison. I bought this cilantro over a week ago, and it's still pretty fresh looking. It is getting past its prime. We're getting yellow leaves and some things are getting mushy down there. So I bought you nice, pretty new cilantro. But I wanted to show you that this method actually works. So whenever you're just using a tablespoon or 2 or a 1/4 cup, you don't have to keep wasting so many herbs. With parsley and cilantro, it's not such a big deal. 68 cents here, 50 cents there. But some of those bunches of like dill and thyme and oregano, they're like $4 and $5. And so you can use this method to keep them good. Okay? All right, so next up, I'm going to cut a 1/2 cup of cilantro leaves. So that's not gonna be, I got 2 small bunches instead of 1 big one. Just gonna give this bunch a little haircut there. There we go. Put his little greenhouse hat back on and he'll go back in my fridge for taco night, okay? So cilantro is nice because the stems are really tender. And so you don't have to be too fussy about making sure to get the leaves off there. What you want though is just some nice uniform pieces. You just run your knife through them. Key to this process is going to be a sharp knife. There's nothing more dangerous to your fingertips than a dull knife. You want to make sure things stay good and sharp in your kitchen. So that your equipment will keep working well. Because a dull knife is hard to use, it's dangerous to use, and we don't want any of that. Oops, carrot down. Okay, so if I was going to put this on tacos, I might shred it up a little bit finer, but since I'm just putting it into a slaw, little bigger chunks are fine. It's fine to use, and they're mostly uniform in shape. There's little tiny pieces of stem there, most of it's leaves. This is perfect because what we're gonna do is take about a half cup of that, chuck it into my 4 cups of shredded carrots, and look at what we got here. We have just like this brilliant orange and nice deep green all kind of mixed together. That's really pretty. I love eating pretty food. I don't really love eating food that's not pretty. It brings me back to the school cafeteria where a lady in a hairnet would dip a ladle into a bucket of slop, is what it looked like, and just fling it on my plate. I don't want to eat that. It may be the healthiest bucket of slop in existence, but if it's not pretty, most people don't want to eat it. And so paying attention to how your food looks is an important part of eating well, okay? I'm gonna get rid of this cilantro on my hands. Chopped up cilantro and parsley are kind of like the glitter of the cooking world. If it's on your hands, it'll get everywhere. And so we wanna get rid of that. Next up, we are going to use our pistachios. Okay, this is another place where your kids could maybe join in the fun. Pistachios usually come in a shell, so a fun job for a kid might be to open up the shells and get all the little nut meats out of there. I bought these without the shell because I am lazy, so I didn't need that particular function today, but it could be a fun job. You do want to chop up these just briefly. One, because it increases the surface area of each nut, and so we're going to toast them in that pan right there, and so you get a little bit more toasty, but also because it lets you see this beautiful inside color of the pistachio. The outside of a pistachio is green, but it's kind of brown too, but inside you just get this nice little pop of pale green color there. Pistachios and carrots have gone together like peanut butter and jelly for thousands and thousands of years. Something cool about carrots is that they've been used all over the world. Ancient Rome had carrot dishes, Italy, which is where Rome is, so that makes sense. They have varieties in South and North America, in Europe, they're everywhere. And so one of the ways that people in ancient times used to eat carrots is with pistachios, which I just think is kind of fun. This is a very old recipe made new. All right, we are going to take these nuts. Ooh, I don't know if you could hear that, but I can hear a sizzle over here. My pan is nice and hot. If you have ever roasted nuts before, you know that it does not take long. Our pan is nice and hot. We are just gonna give it a quick whirl there. I'm actually gonna turn my heat down, and already I can smell these nice toasty flavors developing, which is awesome. Okay, just gonna stir this around. I'm using cast iron, so my pan has retained a lot of heat here, and so I actually turned the burner off, but I can still hear the nuts cooking, and I can still smell them, which is great. Okay, handle that pan is kind of hot, so we're gonna take this, just pop it right there. I do love how roasting nuts smell. It's so good. All right, giving it a quick whirl again. All right, all that's left is to make a quick dressing and then drizzle it over the top. And this last bit is another really fun way that kids can get involved with this recipe. If you read a recipe card, you will see that they're calling for a small bowl and to whisk it up, but I am a bit of a messy cook, and so when I make vinaigrette dressing, I actually do it in a jar. I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of oil, 1, 2, put the lid on that, 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar. You may be more familiar with red wine vinegar. That's in a lot of Italian type cooking. Balsamic vinegar is another kind of wine vinegar, and it's darker in color. It's red. Probably. There we go. Vinegar can really change the profile of your salad dressing. You can take the same base recipe but switch out your vinegar and get a totally different recipe. One of my favorite cooking tricks is actually to have a couple different vinegars on hand. This, if you can see it, is my vinegar cabinet. I have rice vinegar, I have red wine vinegar, I got apple cider vinegar, I got plain old white vinegar, I got malt vinegar. I even have a champagne vinegar that I bought for a recipe at Christmas time, and it's just so wonderful. It smells so good and it has an interesting flavor. And if I put that in here, my salad would be different. I just love switching up the kind of vinegar I use to change a whole dish. And that's one way to keep things new and different without having to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. Because we're busy people, we don't have time for that. I'm gonna take a pinch of salt. That's about 1/4 teaspoon there. A few cracks of pepper. I know that in my grinder, 20 cracks of pepper is a teaspoon, so I'm going to put 5 in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to snap the lid back on. I like pepper. 6. All right, put the lid on nice and tight, and then just give it a good shake. Shake, 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 shake. It's another way that kids can help. Okay. You'll see it's no longer clear, it's kind of cloudy in there. That's because the vinegar has started to emulsify the oil. Open that up, give it a drizzle, right there. Give it a good toss, and bring it to the table. Your vegetable side is done. Put that with some protein and a nice wholesome whole food starch, and you have a meal. If you plan to take this for leftovers the next day for lunch, which is delicious, by the way, you take some of the carrots and cilantro mix out first and reserve some of the dressing to dress it just before you serve it. Another thing that makes this salad good is that you can shred the carrots and cut the cilantro ahead of time and then just quickly put the dressing together. So if you're planning for a party, this looks fancy. I mean, it's got pistachios in it, for crying out loud. That's not a normal nut. It's brilliantly orange, it's vibrantly green. This looks like a celebration in a bowl. So it's easy, but it's impressive. So I hope you try it out and use it in your families. Until next time, so long Facebook. Make sure you comment on the video. Let us know what kinds of these sorts of videos you want to see in the future. Have fun!